Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ASEAN Teacher Webinar Series. This is our 12th session of the series, and my name is Mari Arsandi. I'm the English Programs Manager of British Council Indonesia. Very nice to meet you, everyone here. Before we start, we will start with some housekeepings. Can we have the slide on housekeeping, please? Thank you. Okay, first of all, this session is being recorded and being live streamed on British Council's Teaching English East Asia Facebook page. By attending this, you acknowledge that your comments may be recorded and rebroadcasted. And secondly, if you would like to ask questions, please type them in the Q&A box on Zoom or chat box on Facebook. And at the end of the session, you will be given a link to complete a post-event survey, and link to download e-certificate will be provided after you submit your feedback. So that's the housekeeping for today. And yeah, welcome everyone to the ASEAN Teacher Webinar Series. Today we will talk about teaching English through literature, and we'll get to know how to engage and develop students' English learning skills through a range of literature-focused learning activities. And this session is also to welcome the start of our latest online course on the same topic. And you can join the course for free starting today until the 10th of January. And we'll give you more information around the MOOC at the end of the session. And as usual, together with us now, we have teachers from Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Myanmar, who will share their experience and stories around using literary text to teach English in their classrooms. So before we start, I would like to welcome our teachers to introduce themselves. First, let's start with Kristin from Indonesia.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. So I'd like to introduce myself. I am Christina Vidasari, and everyone here can call me Christine. So I am teaching short stories to young learners, and I'm teaching in an online platforms in Indonesia. So thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And next we have Vicky from Thailand.
Hi everyone, I'm Kantanapon Buddhisan. You can call me Vicky for short. I have been teaching English for 27 years and I'm still very, very happy on my teaching job. Let's enjoy my experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. And next we have Nguyen from Vietnam.
Hello everyone, my name is Nguyen and I'm a teacher of English in a mountainous area in Bắc Giang province in the north of Vietnam. My students' age range from 15 to 18, and I have applied literature in teaching English for a very short time, and I'm happy to share my experience in teaching English through literature with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nguyen. And last but not least, we have Yin from Myanmar.
Hello, teachers and educators. I'm Yemin from Myanmar. I'm an English teacher at higher education sector. I have been teaching English over 12 years. Today, I'm here to share how literary texts were introduced to promote their language skills. Okay, nice to see you all.
Nice to have you, Yin. Thanks to all our teachers for joining us today. Now we'll start our discussions around using literature in your English classrooms. And to start giving us some ideas, let's hear from our panel today about what kind of activities that they do in their classrooms by using literature, how they do it, and what they want to achieve from it. And let's start from Kristin. Kristin, can you tell us what kind of activities that you do in your classroom to teach your students by using literature?
Sure. So I used to teach young learners through literature with short stories.
Okay. Yeah, and that's really interesting. And how do you use short stories to teach English, and why do you choose short stories? What do you want to achieve from it?
Okay, sure. So I am going to share my screen now, and yes. Well, I'm so happy to be here and then also to share my experiences for sharing here so that I probably can get some insights from the speakers and also all of the questions that you are going to ask later on. So, well, I used to teach young learners for short stories to teach the literature itself. Why I chose short stories? I guess because short stories are very interesting for the kids or for young learners, and also it's a great teaching tools that can fill all the students' need. And here I have why use short stories. So, well, we can see here short stories are very practical. So what does it mean by practical is that short stories is kind of, yeah, proper enough, even like the length for learning, and also to complete the sessions, because we as a teachers need to pay attention as well with the curriculum. So basically that's because of those kind of reason. That's why the short stories are very practical. And then, yes, the short stories are very attractive to young learners, as each of the students have different interests. They have like a different taste. So it's gonna be probably raise more learners' awareness of the range of the target language. And also, short stories can advance their competence in all language skills. So here I use short stories with I hope that I can teach all the language skills. So yeah, both receptive skills and also, yeah, the productive skills. And also the other language components like pronunciation, then the grammar, and also the vocabs especially. And we as a teacher, we are encouraging their imagination, exploring the other cultures, and also teaching them about all around the world. Because short stories can be in many types. We have the fairy tales to raise their imagination, and then we have also the folklore to know or to explore more into the cultures. So basically, those what I have been used to teach when I teach the young learners. And what are the activities that I have? So yes, as usual, as a teacher, we are very familiar with it. So we have the pre-stages of the activities, the pre-activity, while activity, and also the post-activity. I would say that pre-activity is the most essential thing here, as we need to raise and also engage the students. We need to make the students feel very motivated during the learning sessions. So we need to generate the ideas. How can we as a teacher generate the ideas? Is, yeah, we can giving some questions related to the stories, then showing pictures or probably flashcards. Then we can ask them all about what is it in the picture. Then we can brainstorm the vocabs. So we can also provide some of the activities, as like we provide the box, which contains of the vocabs about what we are going to learn for the reading. So that's gonna be a very good and essential part. And also, sometimes I use the picture walk activity during my class. So during the picture walk activity, we are going to show like the pictures, the sequences of the pictures. So we need to show these kind of pictures to the students or to the learners. And then we can try to raise their awareness more. So we can give more questions like, who are there in the picture, how many people are there in the pictures, where they are, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is the essential thing. As commonly, if we talk about literature, what comes into my mind or what comes into our mind is all about the reading. And probably because of this, so yeah, we think that, and the students think that, well, literature sounds boring, but basically it's not, because we have a lot of activities. We have also the physical activities to engage the students more about this. And yes, here is about the WOW activity. In WOW activity for teaching literature through the short stories, we have a lot of variety of ways to read. So basically, we have a lot of styles in teaching. So it's not only ask the students to read, we can probably divide the class into some groups, and then we can ask them to probably have in turn to read the passage, or sometimes we can also ask them to read aloud or probably silent reading. So from these kind of activities, we can also raise some students' questions to make sure that the students get about the content of the reading passage or the short stories that I gave. And the last, for the activities, I very love to do this because it's very fun. So the pause activity, it can be in many forms. So sequencing activities. retelling stories, stimulus for writing. And this gonna be more attractive if we can have this in a form of like physical activity. So the class and the students can be very active. So we make the students as the center in the class, and we as a teachers, just only the facilitators. Yeah, and then through all the activities that I have, I believe that it's not only one or two on skills that we can achieve, but we can also learn and teach them all the skills for the English and some language components as well. Okay, I guess that's what I can share about the activities and why I choose the short stories.
Okay, thank you, Christine. That's really interesting. At least there are a couple of points that I want to highlight. You mentioned that using short stories really can help with developing students' English skills, be it receptive or productive. And it's also interesting that you mentioned sequences of activities, because you have pre-activities, the activities itself, and the post-activity to make sure that the students are well prepared and they can achieve what you're trying to achieve from doing those kind of activities. And yeah, I think we can really see how it can make the class to be more dynamic and less boring probably. So that's really interesting. Thank you, Christine. Next, let's hear from Ngan. Ngan, what kind of activities that you can share, and why you choose that activities, and what do you want to achieve from it?
Yeah. I have some same idea with Christine, but I want to share my other ideas about using songs to teach English to students. Firstly, when I want to use song to teach them English, I need to select the song that my students are familiar with. I go online and search for the popular song that teenagers often listen to, and then I adapt or I design some activity based on the songs. For example, when I choose a song, the favorite song, I leave out some keywords or expressions that students need to learn. And then I let them to listen to the song and then try to fill in the blank with the words and expression from the songs. And then to teach grammar, for example, I pick up some sentences in the songs and then ask them to repeat that sentence again and again until they can learn by heart the sentence, and then they can grasp the grammar. Okay, that's the way I use the songs to teach my students, especially I find it very effective when teaching them vocabulary and grammar in a more interesting way, less boring way. And after some time, for example, after 1 or 2 days after they listen to the song, learn something from the song, I can hear some students sing the song again. And that's made me very happy because I can bring English not only into the classroom, but to their real life. They can relax by sing the song, and they can learn why they are playing with their friends.
And okay, that's really interesting. And yeah, go on.
And I think that this way of using literature in teaching English, the student can learn the receptive skill very well, because they can have some knowledge, some vocabulary and some grammars, and they can apply in their lesson in the classroom, and even they can apply them in the tests or exams, and they can achieve some good results in English examinations. That's it.
Okay, thank you, and that's really interesting. Previously we have short stories, now we have also songs, and a couple of points that we can highlight here is we can choose resources that we know that can be interesting for our students, such as popular songs. And I think another keyword that I can catch from what you mentioned, Ngan, is to adapt. So once you have chosen your resources, then it is important for you to adapt the resources so that it suits your students' needs. And yeah, it's also really interesting to see how songs can contribute to developing students' English skills, such as vocabularies and grammars. So we will explore more on that later on. Thanks, Ngan. And next, Let's hear from Vicky.
Okay, thank you very much for having me today, sharing my experience teaching English through literature. Everyone, please enjoy my video clip first, and then I can explain to you what I'm doing.
Surprising ชอบกินก่อนน่าตกใจนะใครบางสนใจ interesting ฟันนี่จำหน้าว่าตัวหัวตื่นเต้นเกิด exciting ฝ่ายเจนนี่ช่างหน้าว่าตัวหัวตื่นเต้นเกิด exciting embarrassing น่าอาย disgusting น่าแย่ๆ disappointing ช่างน่าผิดหวังสมองก็พูด depressing confusing ดูจะสับสน boring น่าเบื่อ boring น่าเบื่อOh, annoying น่ารำคาญสิโนจะลบขบขันหลังมีจะลบเป็นตกใจเฉียบพลันอีมันบก
Okay, so please have a look more.
I'm surprising that he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Okay, and keep continuing for another one.
Thank you all for coming. This is Pendergrass book.
It's beautiful! Hey, but hang on. What the hell's going on? Why do all of us have the same letter?
I speak the truth. Open Pendergrass book and make a wish. You will see my dear.
Wow! Irish to be the most beautiful girl in the world!
I wish to double off my earning from gambling. I wish my parents would give me a break.
Wow! I wish me a world famous singer!
What is done is done. And what is done is done.
Yes!
Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoy my student video clip. And I also, when they have done this video and they have learned the learning English through literature with me, they are very, very happy. And all activities, can enhance and sharpen their, themselves, the English skills to the fullest potential of English competency. And what I have do focus on, I teach English through the song, and also I teach English through drama. The song that you have seen in Thai, actually the students have composed the vocabulary, the song by themselves. I taught them the vocabulary and they feel that they get bored in learning vocabulary and they get bored in learning the reading comprehension. And then I teach them how to compose the song with my own lyrics. And then, I know that teenagers, they have their own favorite singer, their own favorite melodies. So they can do by themselves. They can compose the song using the vocabulary that I taught by themselves. And at the end of the video, they can make their own, sentence. This is the same story. This is the same teaching methodologies that we always ask them to drill, to say it again and again and again. And when they compose a song, they sing with the happy moment again and again. And they remember the vocabulary. And then they can make a very, very good sentence and show the actions with, like the vocabulary said. And another activity, Ekarap, could you please show my PowerPoint, please? And another activities that I used to do is I use the drama to teach English to my students. And I choose the fairy tale, Beauty and the Beast. And the story that you have just watched is the ancient Greek story named Pandora Box, and also a stage musical, Miss Saigon from Viet Nam. And after, I asked them or I taught them this story and let them read, let them write the story, let them practice the English sentences. I can see that these all activities can enhance my students both productive skills and receptive skills. They are very fluent in English. They are very confident in using English. And also, teaching English through literature can help solve the problem, many things that I will share you later on. And then I can tell that teaching English through songs and drama, with collaboration and active learning strategies can enhance students' communication and ability to express themselves effectively, both orally and in writing. Literature lessons can lead to public display through students creating poster or performance of plays. Some classes, I ask them, after they read the story or the passage, I ask them to make a conclusion by using graphic organizer. And then they can have, they can write the story with their own languages. That, I feel proud of my students when I teach this, teaching English through literature in the classroom. That's all for my experiences. And, the procedure of teaching in the classroom is the same as Christine and Nguyen have mentioned before. That's all my experience and my activities in the classroom. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Vicky. That's really interesting and very lovely videos with the drama and the songs. We can see that the class is very fun and enjoyable for the students, and it's very clear that it can help with students' productive skills. And from what I can see, I believe it will also improve students' confidence in practicing English. And thanks also for sharing some evidence from your research to prove that literature is a great way to address some challenges, especially in vocabularies or reading comprehension. So thanks, Vicky, for that. Now, last but not least, let's hear from Yin from higher education perspective. Yin, can you share us some experience from your classroom?
Okay, I would be happy to share my experience over 12 years teaching English, especially the literature today. I teach literature, different units in different styles. Among them, I would like to share one of the activity that I use together with my colleagues at my department. Okay, can I share the screen, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, it is extensive reading programs. Okay, here you can see the reading tree. It represents the whole class. The tree is made of branches, and one branch represents one student. Okay, this branch is 3 jobs. This is John. Alternatively, you can also use their roll numbers. Okay, 1E23, 1E30, something like that. And then they are provided with many books for the graded reader list. And okay, one day they have to choose. They introduce the while the program is going, and they need to choose any book they like from the level 1, level 2, level 3. And then when they finish one book, they have to I'm gonna say they are allowed to stick one leaf in their branch. On the leaf, they need to write down what books they have read, what is the theme of their book, and what lesson you learn from that book. Okay, after each book, they have a chance to share what they have done. Okay, like that. Okay, at the end of the semester, okay, here's the books we use in the reading program. Okay, here how they prepare the reading tree by themselves in class. Okay, in the reading times, or they can choose, they can enjoy reading in the class or outside the class. It's up to them. Okay, here you can see purple trees. Tree with so many leaves. This is the sticky notes. As I have already mentioned, they write the commentary, the book reviews, any response that they gained in front of the book that they have read. Okay, here you see this activity can be done by the whole class, or it can be done by group 4, group 5, group 6, or something like that. At the end of the semester, at the end of the programs, the students have a chance to write with different units, and they gain not only knowledge but also the language skill. Okay, this is how I did. This is how I did the extensive reading, and I also would like to recommend this is the purple activity in these to raise their literary awareness to promote their language skill in the EAP context. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ian, for the sharing. That's really interesting with the leaves because it's a really fun way to track students' progress in reading, and I can see that it can add serious motivation to add more leaves in their trees by reading more. We'll explore more on that, especially around challenges in the next round. And we have listened to some experience from our teachers today. Now probably we'll go into area that you might be wondering as well, especially around challenges and how do we overcome those challenges of integrating literature into our teaching classrooms. So next is I want to hear from our panel today around what kind of challenges do you find in using literature in teaching English in your classrooms, and how do you overcome those challenges? So we can start with Kristen again.
Sure, of course. I often found some challenges during my teaching. So there are some challenges that I face. First is more into the text. So text selection. So text need to be chosen, which is like relevant, and also we need to know the student's interest. And then the length of the text as well. So shorter text may be easier for the young learners, especially like the primary students. And then the cultural difficulty, because sometimes when I teach students, especially when they are Indonesian, so they find kind of hard to know or to get some of the cultures of the other countries. For example, when I teach them like the folklore from the China, so they do not have imaginations about it. So how to overcome all the challenges? Maybe for the text, we need to adjust. So we need to be careful to select the resources as well. And then more about like the cultural difficulty. So we need to probably provide some pictures here. So the pictures will help the students to imagine, well, the folklore is like this and so on and so forth. So, and remember that, yes, our students are probably different. So even they are in the same grade, but they are in a different like students or language ability. So we really need to know our students. Yeah, I guess that's for the challenges.
That's great, Kristen. That's the keyword there, to understand your students, because by understanding your students, then you will be able to find the appropriate resources that you will use in your classrooms, the resources or texts that are cultural appropriate for your students, as well as the ones that can be interesting for them, including having pictures, especially for young learners. So that's really important tips there to really understand your students. Thanks, Kristen. Next, we continue with Nguyen. Nguyen, what kind of challenges do you find in your classroom, and how do you overcome those challenges?
Yes, the challenges that I encounter when I use literature in teaching English is that all the teachers in my country have to follow the government's curricula, and we need to complete all the programs that are required. It's compulsory. So to use the outside document in the classroom, I need to commit to the principal in my school that I can cover all the requirements that is compulsory here. And of course, I can replace some part in the textbook with the document that I can find online, for example, the song or stories, or even drama. And I have luckily, the government, the authority or the principal in my school allow me or allow the teachers of English in my school to do what we want, what we find interesting, and what we think that it is useful for our students. And we are allowed to do that.
Okay, that's really good, Nguyen, because I think many teachers will relate to the challenge around wanting to add more new things into your classroom, such as adding drama or songs, but in the same time, you will still have to complete some compulsory target that you have to follow. Just a quick follow-up question for that, Nguyen. Is there any, or do you have tips for teachers to manage their time so that they still can complete the compulsory target for the government, but at the same time, you can also add more things to complement your teaching to make it more enjoyable for students.
Yes, some compulsory tasks in the textbook, for example, we can assign the student to do at home, and we can check later. And we can have more time in the classroom for our students to engage in more interesting activities. And I think the most important thing here is that we, the teacher, can inspire our students to learn English, not to force them to learn. So that is more effective.
That's really good. That's great. Thanks, Ngan. Next, let's hear from Yin. Yin, what kind of challenges that you find in your extensive reading class, and how do you overcome those?
Okay, thank you for the questions. The challenges are more or less the same week down. Okay, but I'll highlight only four among them. So the first one is the student participation. You see, this is not the compulsory, this is the extracurricular activity. That's why students are not confined to participate in the activity. That's why in the initial step, we need to advertise, so we need to make sure that this is like a well-worth activity that they should enjoy. And to overcome this challenge, okay, I need to ask the permission from my head of department, or I also need to show the first activity that we have done, so that's to rock the interest. Second, in choosing material, the text selections, I need to make sure that the texts are relevant to their interest, to their level. And okay, I also need to sometimes I also fix the shorting of text. That's why I need to also prepare for digital version as well, as much as I can. Okay, and one more thing, it's one more challenge, and the last challenge is that it can be overloaded for the teachers or for the facilitators. In order to overcome this, I need to check before we do this activity, we need to check our schedule marks, how much we can do, and secondly, we need to cooperate with our college. Okay, these are the challenges and the way I overcame. Thank you.
Thanks, Yin. So yeah, about choosing the materials and time management as well, yeah, as part of your challenges. And I think during the Q&A later on, there will be some questions for you to share, especially around how do you choose your materials to match with students' certain proficiency levels, for example. So we'll get back to it later in the Q&A session. Thanks, Yin. Now, Vicky. So Vicky, what kind of challenges do you find in your classrooms, and how do you overcome those?
You know, actually in Thai classroom, we have a very huge amount of the students, 40 students in the classroom, and I teach, exactly 8 classes per week. And, 40 students, they have many different abilities in learning English. So how can I help solve this problem? I mix them together with the upper grade, average grade student, with the lower average grade student, and they can help each others. And one research that I'm doing is a study of student difficulties in learning vocabularies and reading comprehension. And this is this project is under of King Mongkut University and British Council in Thailand. And as soon as I use the teaching techniques using the song, to compose in my lesson, my classroom, I can feel that my students are comfortable to learn English, and they are very, very happy. After I do the research and I interview them why they get difficulty in learning vocabulary, they say that, oh, it's very difficult to remember. And after I use the song, I use the collaboration and active learning strategies teaching in my classroom. It's all success. And my students are very happy. As soon as they see me step in the classroom, they are very happy. That's all my, my challenging and my, how I solve this problem in my classroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. That's really encouraging to hear how you can, and motivating for us, how you can make your class enjoyable for the students, how it can inspire the students as well to learn English. So thanks. So thank you for all the sharing. We still have a bit of time for Q&A. Let me check the Q&A box. We have quite a few questions here. So we have question there's a question from Beatrix Ivanovita. The question is, I'm not so sure which activities that it is referring to, but the question is it applicable for the students with lower language acquisition or competence? And how do we implement this strategy to inferior students who are not eager to get engaged actively. So I think just to make it a little bit more general, for all the panelists who want to share your experience, how do you choose your, do you find any challenges around matching your resources into different level of English of your students? And how do you overcome that? And also, have you ever found challenges around students' motivation? So for example, students that are not really engaged at the beginning, and how do you, what did you do to engage those kind of students? So yeah, please feel free, anyone who wants to answer.
Can I try?
Yes, Ian, go ahead.
Because I'm dealing with all sorts of genre, short story, novels. Okay, I used to face that kind of challenges. Okay, folks, the levels of proficiency is not the same. Folks, I need to check their proficiencies. Okay, according to the vocabulary site text or the placement text, something like that. And then after looking up their performance and then knowing their results, they are encouraged to do. Okay, suppose their level is relatively low. Okay, they are encouraged to read the level when, but if their level is a little bit higher, so they are encouraged to deal with the how can I say greater reading 2 or 3, something like that. We need to how can I say help in choosing the material for the students who are lower in proficiency. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Any other additional comments from other panelists?
Actually, for me, myself, let me share my experiences. How can I engage or get involved with my students? For my teaching 27 years experiences in teaching, I teach high school level, grade 10 and grade 12, and their age is 16 years old and 18 years old. And every year, 18 years old come to me, 16 years old come to me, but I'm getting older and older. How can I overcome this and make the student get involved to my classroom? I have to bend down my age to their age. I have to be friends with them. Let them, be my friends, and we can talk at the same level age. And then it will be easy to teach English and make them, enhance them to get the fullest potential of English skills. That's my experience to share. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. Shall we move on to another question, or is there any additional comments from other panelists?
Ask the question, please.
Next question. We have a specific question for Nguyen. So this question is coming from Tam Nguyen Koffer. So the question is, Nguyen, how do you evaluate the effectiveness of using songs or stories in your teaching with limited time in your lessons?
Okay, actually, I don't use song and story in every period. I just use in some periods. And sometimes I don't just remove everything. I only replace, for example, a reading text in the book with an interesting story. And the text in the book will be assigned for the student to read at home. So I can manage to arrange the time for the activities that I want.
Okay, is there any specific assessment, or how do you evaluate your students' skills improvement, for example, through your activities by using songs or short stories?
Okay, through the test and exam, for example, after 1 month or 2 months, I give them a test. And of course, the test will be designed based on the thing that the student have learned. And if they can do the test well, it means that the activity has some effectiveness.
Okay, thank you, Nguyen. Is there any other additional comments from other panelists around how do you evaluate your students' skill when you use literature in your classrooms? Maybe from Ian, Vicky, or Kristen, is there any specific things that you want to share around assessing your students?
Okay, can I share?
Yes, go ahead, Ian.
Just start, they are provided with the placement text or vocabulary text. And before the reading extensive reading programs, after the programs, the same questions or the same how to say level of difficulty is provided again. I can check the progress. In this way, I do. This is one of the evaluations that I make for my students.
Thanks, Ian. Okay. I think we can. I'm aware of time. I think we can have two more questions. The next one is specifically for Vicky, and please feel free for any other panelists if you want to add. So Vicky,
Yes.
this we have participant that really likes your vibe in teaching because it looks so enjoyable and full of
Yeah.
cheers. So the question is, how can you encourage your students, especially teenagers, to express themselves like that? Because I'm stuck with this because most of the time they are shy and afraid of being judged by others.
Honestly, I'm their role models, I can tell, because I composed the song with that vocabulary first, but with my own lyrics, with my own melodies, but in a very old songs. Anyway, after I show them, and then I asked, and I show them the acting, I show them the song. After that, I let them do it by themselves and let them choose the melody and the rhythm and the favorite song by themselves, and they're happy to do that. That what what I can share my experience. And then my student, I think I can tell 80% of them are very brave to come to the front and speak English and talk to me and talk to their friends. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. And let's see more questions. I'm afraid we will not be able to answer all the questions that we have today. Okay, so let me see. Excuse me for a bit. Okay, this is a bit related to assessment, but this one is around feedback. How do you give your feedback to your students when you do those kind of activities that involve literature in your classrooms? Because we previously talked about how using literature can develop students' receptive skills or productive skills, and during those activities or after those activities, how do you give feedback to your students? Please feel free, Christine, Ngan, Ian, or Vicky. For example, if you notice that during drama, your student's pronunciation might not be fully correct, what kind of feedback that you usually do?
Actually, during the drama, if there is something wrong, I let it go first, and then we correct them later on. Make them feel more confident to use. If we interrupt them while they are practicing or while they are playing the story, they will be shy. They will feel embarrassed. We don't interrupt them, and when we correct them later on. That's what my strategy is to teach my students.
Okay, thanks, Vicky. Any other additional comments from other panelists?
Yes, I agree with Vicky because we shouldn't correct the student immediately. We should delay it for later correction. It's better for our students.
Okay, that's interesting because one of the goals is really to make students feel comfortable in learning English and develop their confidence in practicing English. So thanks for that. I'm aware of time, so thank you very much for all panelists. I'm sure it will give more ideas to everyone who's joining us today to start trying new things in their classrooms. And although our session is coming to an end today, don't worry because you can explore more deeply around this topic by joining our free online course around using literature to teach English. And as I mentioned in the beginning, this session is to introduce you all to our online course that starts today around the same topic. And now to inform everyone on how to register to the online course, I'd like to get Christine's help. So Christine, can you please show us how to register to the online course? And in the meantime, I will also share the link to the online course page for everyone so that you can have a look as well.
Okay, so let me probably share the screen.
Yes, please go ahead.
So,
all right. Okay, so everyone, this is the page of the online course of teaching English through literature. This online course starts today until the 10th of January. And to register, you simply, at the top of the page, you will see a register button. If you scroll up again, sorry, you can click that create a free account. So there are steps to sign up for the course. So you can just simply create a new account. The picture is not mandatory, so you can just put in your email address, username and password. And don't worry, because the password we will not be able to see your password while you're typing it, Kristen.
Okay, sure.
And the phone number is not mandatory, so you can leave it blank at the moment. You can click that. And you can click that you're over 18 and create new account.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe we need a more unique username.
Okay, let's give a try. Okay.
So this is really good. This is a really good example for everyone who is going to register to the online course. Okay, now you're logged in. Now if you can scroll down again. And you can scroll down. Let's see if we can find the button to enroll in that course. Probably up again. Let's see, go up again. Okay, on the step 2, after you logged in, there's a link that you can click. Let's try that. Okay, if we scroll down, can we find, there you go, the teaching English through literature. Yeah, you can simply just click on the enroll in activity. Okay, now you should be able to find it at the top part of the page. You can see my learning, and then my courses. There you go. Now you can start the course anytime you want, and it will be available for you to access until the 10th of January. So I hope this gives more clarity to everyone on how to register to our online course. Thank you very much, Kristen, for helping with the demo. And
Sure.
yeah, we are almost at the end of our webinar today. And before we close, I'd like to give the opportunity to each of our panel to share one last quick tips for everyone who wants to start using literature in the classroom. So can I start with Yin? Yin, what's your top tips of probably using extensive reading in the classrooms?
Okay, the tip that I would like to share with you all today is that don't teach, language is not to be taught, but to be caught. That's why please provide or create more spaces for your students to acquire the language. Don't try to teach much, just trying to provide, trying to let them acquire the language. Okay, don't, language is to be, not to be taught, but to be caught.
That's great. Language is not to be taught, but to be caught. That's really nice, Ian. Thank you. Vicky, what's your last top tips?
Okay, my top tips in teaching English is ourselves. We, as an English teacher, we plays important roles for our learners. We are not only an instructors, but we also a facilitator to help our students reach their goal, to help our students improve their English skill, to open the world. And English brings character. So I use my model with 3 words. MIR model, what I called, and I always tell myself that I have to use this model for my student. We as a teacher have to have 1, M, motivation, I, inspiration, and R, we have to be a good model for our student. That's our top tip for teaching English for myself. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. That's really nice. Be the role model for your students. Next, Ngan, what's your last top tips for our teachers today? Ngan, you're on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, my top tip is that inspire our students to learn, and they can learn everything themselves.
Short but powerful. Thanks, Ngan. Last but not least, Kristin.
Sure, thank you very much. So as a teacher, we teach the students not only for the test, so we teach them the skills. And yes, we need to observe the class, understand the students, and select the best material for the students. So I guess that's from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristin. So understand your students, because we don't teach them only for the test. That's really nice. So, well, that's it for today, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and many thanks for our wonderful panel today. Ian, Vicky, Ngan, and Kristin, thank you very much for sharing us your stories. It's been a really interesting and insightful discussions. And for everyone who's joining us today, you will be able to download your e-certificate by submitting your feedback at the end of the session. You can see the link on the screen, so you can simply scan the barcode or type in the link from your phone or from laptop. And after you submit your feedback, please don't close the page until you see a download link to download the certificate. So yes, that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for joining, and many thanks again for our wonderful panel today. And please don't forget to join our online course that starts today, and that will be available until 10th of January. And we'll see you again in the next ASEAN Teacher Webinar session. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Have
Ian,
a good
Vicky,
night, everyone.
and
Have a good
Kristin.
night
Thank you very
from
much.
Thailand.